Hey investors who are looking for high dividend stocks. Today I'm not really going to be talking about dividends. Today I am going to be talking about SpaceX and how you can invest in the future. SpaceX is, of course, if you don't already know, is the rocket company owned by Elon Musk. He's also their CEO, but also the fact that they can land their own rockets. This is insane. And of course, today I am posting this video because this is the first official launch of humans from Cape Canaveral, from the USA to the space station. Yes, they had that two-person test flight a few months ago, but now they're launching 4 people from the United States of America up to the International Space Station using the Dragon capsule, and this is just amazing. So why would you want to invest in SpaceX? Number one, they are the biggest company right now, in my opinion and many other people's opinion, for rocket launches. Why is that important? Because there's not really many more companies that are coming into the fold to be able to really do this. There's SpaceX, Boeing, Northrop Grumman. Those are kind of the only 3 in the world. Of course, there's China and Russia, but they're using old rockets. China's using, I don't know. But either way, SpaceX is currently the leader. And why is this important? You're probably saying, well, how often do they even launch rockets? It can't be very often. Well, they're getting to almost 1 rocket a week, it seems like, 4 rockets a month. They're going to be probably doubling that next year. And I was just watching the NASA press conference for the launch today. Yesterday was the press conference, and they were saying that by 2025, they're expecting over 500 rocket launches in a year. That's huge. And when you are the leader, and it does not look like there's going to be many companies who are going to be able to compete with them anytime soon, they are going to be probably having the massive majority of those 500 launches. Another thing, they are currently building Starship, which is a rocket that's going to get humans to the moon and Mars. Another thing that they are launching is worldwide space internet. That's right, internet that comes from space. They're going to be eventually splitting that off for a company on the stock market, but of course, to the regular human, like myself, how can we invest in SpaceX? If you are really interested in getting into the future of, into just the future of investing, SpaceX is going to be huge. I think they're going to be a $1 trillion company very soon, probably within 5 to 10 years. Now, that's soon in my eyes because I'm a long-term investor, but how can you get into SpaceX? Of course, you need to be an accredited investor, technically speaking, and you need to have millions upon millions, if not billions of dollars. But there are ways. Number one is by investing in Google. Now, you're probably wondering, how can Google, the search engine, be anything a part of SpaceX? Well, their parent company, Alphabet, owns a massive majority of SpaceX. When it comes down to it, there was a $1 billion investment between 2 companies, Fidelity and Google, Alphabet. Now, from there, out of that $1 billion, who gave what? Well, close to $900 million of that $1 billion was given by Google, Alphabet, which then equals 9% of SpaceX company. So technically, by investing in Alphabet, a part of your investment owns 9%, close to it, of SpaceX. What's another way of doing this? Another way of investing in SpaceX is by investing in a couple of Fidelity's ETFs. So from this article right here, the Contrafund Fidelity ETF, you can look this up yourself, which is this one right here. The ticker goes by FCNTX, and from there, what we do see is some of their holdings in this fund. Now, hypothetical growth from 2011 until today is massive. You're basically 4xing your earnings over 10 years, even with the downturn right there, which was the coronavirus pandemic. But even with that close to 10% that is being held by this fund, it doesn't even make up its top 10 holdings. And now you really want to research what the top 10 holdings are, and that is Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, Berkshire Hathaway, Salesforce, Adobe, Apple, Visa, United Health Group, and Netflix. And when it comes down to the actual holding of SpaceX in this fund, I've done my own research and it ends up being 0.04% of the actual ETF is part of the SpaceX investment, which means that if you were to invest $100, which obviously you're going to invest more than $100 into an ETF, generally you want to go 1,000 or more, or whatever you feel comfortable with, but of course you would be looking at 4 cents out of your $100 would be invested in SpaceX. So keep that in mind, even if SpaceX was to go onto the stock market, become a $1 trillion company and whatever else, you're really only turning that 4 cents out of that 100 into maybe 40 cents out of $100. So you really need to invest a lot of money when it comes to even getting a piece of SpaceX stock. However, at the same time, Elon Musk has said that he will never put SpaceX, the company itself, on the stock market. He's obviously had some issues with Tesla being on the stock market. He hates the volatility, but he has been open to putting the SpaceX internet satellite company onto the stock market, which is great news, especially for investors like us or myself, who not only just does investments for dividends, because that is 99% of my current investments is into high dividend stocks and ETFs, but also I like to invest into the future. So one of my favorite investments of all time was when I invested early on in Aurora and also into Canopy Growth, which are weed companies up here in Canada. As soon as it went legalized, that's when it went just crazy, and I made a lot of money. You can't just look at just dividends only. You need to look at the future and see what's going to happen. And you can make some crazy, crazy amounts of money by looking into the future and seeing what you can actually potentially make. Will this work out? Who knows? But it does definitely look like SpaceX is a company for the future, and getting even a little piece of it is going to be beneficial to your portfolio. And either way, when it comes to certain ETFs, you're still going to be making a lot of dividends. This ETF itself does not pay any kind of dividend all that much, hardly at all. I seen a couple of years ago they paid a very small dividend, but what you are looking at here is the expense ratio is kind of low at 0.85, still a bit high when it comes to ETFs, but not that bad when you compare it to some mutual funds and you are getting SpaceX. However, if you look at Google stock, it has been exploding right now, mainly because of COVID. It does not pay a dividend, so at this point in time, this would be more speculative than the actual ETF. You are owning more SpaceX when it comes to Google stock, but at the same time, no dividend if you're a dividend investor like myself. And also, you're looking at something that has currently exploded like crazy because of the coronavirus pandemic. It bottomed out roughly around a little bit more than 1,000, and then it has exploded ever since, and it's been staying within that, essentially that trend line, or at least the trend line that I see, which is running up right about there, and it's sitting right about there. So as of right now, I would personally wait to see that drop a little bit, and then I would then get into that into Google as an investment. I wouldn't do it just as of yet today because it's currently hitting the top of that trend, and it's probably going to drop a bit. And I like to really look at the stock market to see the future of what's going to happen, and I'm going to tell you right now, if Trump starts winning a couple of court cases, Google stock's going to plummet because Trump really hates the social media stocks. Google is a social media stock because of YouTube, and they all kind of really did a lot of stuff. I'm not going to get into politics or anything like that right now, but basically that kind of foresees me seeing that there may be a couple of wins in the court case. Will it do anything? Who knows? But of course, this is a SpaceX video. I hope that you have enjoyed today's video. I hope that it's given you some insights onto how to invest into SpaceX. If it has, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.